Hello and welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight. New figures show the number of reports of dog attacks have risen in recent years. We hear from the owner of an XL bully.
People that are abusing these dogs, that are overbreeding these dogs, they're going to get another dog and they're going to do the same thing with that and ruin that.
We'll ask whether banning particular breeds is the solution. Also tonight.
Sheffield Wednesday chairman Chansiri says he's no longer prepared to fund the club, and there's a match on tonight at home to Sunderland. We'll be talking about both at Hillsborough.
The history of boxing in one part of our region is being celebrated in film. We'll bring you the highlights. And we'll meet the kids in Sheffield trying their hand at playing brass instruments.
And even though it's not been completely dry everywhere, we have had a good deal of dry and bright weather with some sunshine today. It's looking a little bit more mixed for the weekend. I'll be back at the end of the programme with a full live forecast.
Good evening and welcome to Friday's Look North. XL bullies, the controversial breed that's been dominating headlines in recent weeks. In a moment, we'll hear from a man in Chesterfield who takes his bully into care homes as a therapy dog. But first, the BBC has exclusive data from police forces in our region. The figures show that the number of dogs being dangerously out of control and causing injury have gone up by 27%. These figures don't include South Yorkshire Police, who didn't provide us with the data. But those who did show that the total number of cases in our region went from 1,899 in 2018 to 2,415 in 2022. Not all of these attacks involve this breed, but following a spike of American XL bully attacks, the government has announced that the breed will be banned in the UK. Well, our reporter Sean Filcher has been to meet Dylan and his dog Bruce.
It's not good if these get banned. People that are abusing these dogs, that are overbreeding these dogs, they're going to get another dog and they're going to do the same thing with that and ruin that. It's just going to go on and on and on. Unless licensing comes into place, he's going to be punished for something he's not done.
XL bully Bruce is a therapy dog. Dylan's pregnant partner Charlie has been taking him to a care home in Chesterfield for the past 6 months. But a potential ban on the breed might mean he has to stop.
If I owned a private care home, I probably wouldn't let him come in just because it's his business at the end of the day, and I can't fault him if that's what happens. But the residents will be devastated, the families will be devastated. If one of these dogs, which are meant to be killers and all the rest of what people are saying they are, if a pregnant woman could take it into a care home in that environment, it's clearly not the breed, is it?
If he has to start wearing a muzzle, how would that affect his daily life?
People in the park are going to think I'm walking a tiger when it's the most friendliest dog ever. He's big and boisterous, and obviously you've got to take that responsibility. He could jump up someone, small kids, he could jump up someone. You've got to stop. You've got to have him on a lead. You've got to have control at all times, just because of the size of him, but then that's the same as any dog.
I think it's probably the most dangerous dog breed I've ever seen or worked with. Its bloodline is from fighting champions who have shown that they always fight to the death. So when this dog attacks, it's not just going to bite you. It's going to continue biting you till you no longer move or you're dead.
On September 15th, the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak announced that American XL bullies will be banned in the UK after a series of attacks. The ban isn't currently in place, though, meaning that owners and their dogs can go about their day as normal. The government is aiming to have the ban enforced by the end of the year, but some work needs to be done first to fully define the breed. If the ban does come into place, though, it'll be the first breed to be banned in the UK in over 30 years.
After a recent spate of deaths caused by XL bullies, the Prime Minister says something needs to be done.
I've asked ministers to convene a group together, including the police and experts in this field, so that they can firstly define the breed, and then, using the powers under the Dangerous Dogs Act, we will ban this breed with new laws in place by the end of the year.
But a lot of experts seem to be against breed-specific legislation. Former professional dog trainer Ryan O'Mara says it just won't work.
If they simply say, well, we're going to ban this breed, we're going to stop them being bred in the future, I would ask, how are you going to do it when you couldn't do it with the pit bull? There are many, many more pit bulls now than there ever were before the ban, which proves not only that they can't be banned, it also proves that it drives up interest. If we ban this breed, those people will just get another breed. So it's not the right approach. And it, as I say, it will have a counterproductive effect.
For Bruce and other owners of this breed, the future remains unclear.
Sean Filcher reporting there. Well, earlier I spoke to the Police and Crime Commissioner for South Yorkshire, Dr Alan Billings, and I asked him whether this was just about the breed or irresponsible owners.
I think it's about the breed itself. Yes, of course, there are irresponsible owners who've not trained their dogs properly. But quite frankly, the statistics are such that we have to say it's about the breed as well. When 25% of the really serious dog attacks are by XL bullies, it's about the breed.
There's obviously talk of a ban, but are bans an effective solution, and how would it be policed?
I think bans can be effective. We had the pit bull, the American pit bull, banned previously under the Dangerous Dogs Act, and we've got rid of those. So it can work. Yes, of course, what people will begin to do is to interbreed with other dogs, but I think it has an effect, and anything that reduces the number of attacks is to be welcomed.
And we're hearing more and more, aren't we, about these kind of attacks? Why do you think the problem of dangerous dogs is growing?
I think there are two reasons. One is that a lot of puppies were taken on by people during lockdown. Those puppies were never socialised with other dogs and other people. They're now mature dogs, and some of them get very nervous in public places, and they suddenly turn and become aggressive. But also, they're very fashionable. People seem to want XL bullies, and there's been a growth in the number of sales of XL bullies. Very expensive, some of them, you know, up to £10,000, £12,000.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be a topic we'll be returning to time and time again, but for now, thank you for your time, Dr Alan Billings. Food businesses in our region are gearing up for the ban on single-use plastics that starts next week, or at least they should be. But as Nick Garnett has been finding out, some takeaways in Leeds were taken by surprise when he asked them about the changes.
With next, please.
Polystyrene and plastic, the packaging of choice for the high street.
From next week, you won't be able to eat with one of these or eat out of some of these type of packages. It's very confusing though for shopkeepers. Some of them didn't even know about the ban until we came in and told them about it.
I don't know how much we have, a lot. To be honest with you, I don't hear anything about it. That's the first time you guys come in and you're saying something new for me, and I don't hear anything before.
Across the road, Jalal's bought up to 2 weeks' supply of polystyrene boxes and says the wholesalers are still full of the soon-to-be banned packaging.
I've been to warehouse yesterday. They have everything like what I have, fork and a box. They have it, still like they have it.
So what has changed? For consumers buying ready-to-eat food, all plastic cutlery and polystyrene packaging is banned. But more substantial plastic containers, like this one, can still be used.
Yes, it is exempting the main plastic box, which is the big culprit in the takeaway industry. In the UK, we probably use about 500 million of those a year, and probably a couple of billion in Europe alone.
In the takeaways, those using banned packaging face fines if they don't find alternatives by Monday.
Well, we announced the ban way back in January. I think the really important thing to remember is we want to work with businesses. It doesn't mean takeaways will go out of business. They've just got to shift to containers that are going to fit in with the new system to help basically save the planet.
The idea is simple, to cut plastic waste. But is the new legislation too complicated to swallow? Nick Garnett, BBC News, Leeds.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see. Now you're watching Friday's Look North. Still to come on tonight's programme, Fashion Forward. We'll be joined by the Sheffield fashion designer taking London Fashion Week by storm. Some more news from around the region now, and 2 teenagers have died and another has been left critically injured after a car left the road and hit a telegraph pole in Leeds. It happened at 3:30 this morning on the Leeds Outer Ring Road at Moor Allerton. An 18-year-old man and a 19-year-old woman were killed. Another 18-year-old man was injured. The 22-year-old driver has been arrested on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving. Police are asking for anyone who saw what happened to get in touch with them. Police have increased stop and search powers in parts of Leeds after a machete attack. A 38-year-old man was left with a serious leg injury after being attacked in the Holbeck area. The order giving police authority to check people and vehicles for weapons covers Holbeck and Beeston and continues until 9 o'clock tonight. A public meeting is being held in Batley later today to protest against proposed cuts by Kirklees Council. The council has started consulting on plans to close 2 care homes and 3 leisure centres in an attempt to tackle its forecasted £47.8 million overspend. It's called for more government funding to try to avoid going bankrupt. One of Sheffield's biggest music venues has closed over concerns about how it was built. The O2 Academy has shut as a precautionary measure while surveys are carried out to see if it has aerated concrete called RAC. A 2-day punk festival, which was due to take place at the venue this weekend, has been cancelled. And it's been announced that the Tetley Art Gallery in Leeds is to close a week before Christmas. Its 10-year lease at the iconic former brewery buildings expires at the end of the year after nearly 1 million visitors came to see its exhibitions, and it will announce a new home soon. Now, football, the weekend fixture list kicks off tonight at Hillsborough when Sheffield Wednesday play Sunderland in the Championship. But the match, I'm afraid, is probably not the main subject fans are talking about on the way to the stadium. Paul Ogden is outside Hillsborough for us tonight. Paul, it's all yours.
Yes, and it's a very big story that's been developing here at Hillsborough today for Sheffield Wednesday and their fans, Amanda, as if being bottom of the Championship wasn't enough. 8 matches without a single win so far since promotion, and now today Chairman Chansiri has said officially in a statement that he is no longer prepared to fund the club. The reason is because of insults to himself and to his family off social media, and generally he says they've crossed the line and he's had enough of it. But what's the connection? Whether or not the team's poor form on the field is a result of Chairman Chansiri's stewardship of it is a matter of opinion, and there are certainly plenty of those around Hillsborough tonight.
It's a difficult situation. I don't agree with the fans slating the chairman's family online. I think that's totally disgraceful. I can understand how people are upset about certain things, etc. We've just got to work his way through it. You know, they need our support as much as what we can give them, like so. And it's just a case of knuckling down and carrying on.
The art's been ripped out at the club. Obviously, all the fans are really upset for what's happened in the summer. But I think it's definitely the wrong statement at the wrong time. He has put a lot of money into this club. I can understand that. But he's also got to understand the fans' point of view.
I will support the team no matter what, but we are playing a bit bad.
What's the answer? What's the solution?
I would say get another manager, but could the club afford that?
No one should be abused. It's like I wouldn't abuse someone if they weren't doing the job I wanted, right? But Wednesday fans have got to be voices heard because we've had enough, and something needs to change, and something needs to change now.
So much to say and hear about Sheffield Wednesday. Clearly fans urgently need their team to start performing on the field, but off it, it was interesting, wasn't it, to hear how much support and sympathy there is for Chairman Chansiri and his family. By the way, Mr Chansiri hasn't yet taken up our offer to speak his point of view on camera for us at Look North, and when the time is right, I'm sure he'll do that. Maybe today's statement was an implicit invitation to any prospective new owners to negotiate with him. If he's happy with any new owners deal, then he said he will sell and be prepared to do so. But whoever the new owner would be would have to find £2 million a month on average to keep Sheffield Wednesday going, because that is what Mr Chansiri has had to be spending in recent times. Tonight, by the way, there is a match, 8 o'clock kick-off, Sunderland the visitors to Sheffield Wednesday.
Oggy, thank you very much. Well, things aren't great for Sheffield Wednesday or Sheffield United at the moment. The Blades are at the bottom of the Premier League. They also haven't won a game this season. They're still recovering from an 8-0 thrashing by Newcastle at Bramall Lane last week as they limber up to play West Ham tomorrow.
We need to understand that we need to be better. I think we are all in agreement on that. Yeah, and as I say, we need to be one of those teams that suffered these defeats before and used it to achieve our goal, which is to stay in this league.
Let's move away from football, and in Speedway, Sheffield are through to their second successive Premiership Grand Final after securing a 28-point aggregate victory over Wolverhampton. There was heavy rain at the Allerton Stadium last night, meaning the Tigers raced in difficult conditions. But they won 8 of the 10 races to knock the Wolves out and will face Ipswich in the Grand Final, which will be raced over 2 legs next week.
I'm delighted. The lads who we've brought in have done a fantastic job. The guests have come in and really bought into the club and given it their all. The supporters have been right behind us, and it's nice that we could pay that support back with another final. So 2 in 2 years, we just want to go one better.
Europe ended day 1 of the Ryder Cup with a big lead over the US, and Yorkshire's Matt Fitzpatrick had a sensational day. Fitzpatrick, who's from Sheffield, won his 4-ball match with partner Rory McIlroy to take a point for Europe, his first in the Ryder Cup. He said it was one of the greatest days he'd ever had on the golf course. I bet it was. Now, when you think of preserving our heritage, it might be stately homes, castles and ruins that spring to mind. But a film produced in Calderdale aims to shed a light on the history of boxing in the area and the huge impact it's had on the lives of generations of young people. It came about thanks to grant funding from the Historic England, specifically for projects highlighting working class heritage. Corinne Wheatley has more.
Would be any question that he should not continue.
May 1976, Munich. The most famous boxer of all time, Muhammad Ali, was in the ring with Halifax's Richard Dunn. It didn't go well for the Yorkshire contender, but still it's a moment that's gone down in local sporting history. Dunn trained at the Star Boxing Club in Halifax. Generations of young men turned their lives around at clubs like that in the town. And now those stories are being shared on film.
If you go back to what Halifax was like in the mid-1960s, when the original clubs were set up, sport played a massive role in working class culture and working class heritage. Almost everybody would have kind of been part of, you know, the sporting scene in the town.
The Halifax Stars film has been made by an arts company with grant money from Historic England that was aimed at celebrating working class heritage. It tells how the boxing scene here has enjoyed a resurgence in the last 20 years, thanks largely to people like Mick Rowe, who started out in a lockup and now runs this club with over 570 members.
Still amazed every time we look at the numbers and look at the people coming in. I think we did on Monday night there were 200 and odd people came into the club. Well, that again was an all-time high. 200 people in one day.
When he started firing that gun outside the car, I turned around and I was in the car and I leant over to cover my head and the bullet went in here.
The film shares stories of how boxing has provided people with structure and discipline, something Mick says is now more important than ever.
The amount of work we do in the community and with people is just, I mean, if I'd have known about it 20 years ago, I'd have probably thought twice about it. It shows me, and I'm still learning today, what boxing does in the community.
I think we tend to think of it as a sport, but it's not a sport, it's a way of life, and it can be a philosophy of how you work with an individual who might be struggling and give them a sense of direction, a sense of hope.
There'll be a screening of the film tomorrow night, and it's hoped an exhibition on the project will have a permanent home at this gym. It's welcome recognition, because Mick says, with rent increases and other pressures, the future for these clubs is uncertain.
The same with all these other sites now, all these other clubs, they're all struggling. They can't get buildings in the right place for the right price. I'm hoping councils as well look at it and go, wow, what an amazing thing these clubs do and how much money they save you, you know, and maybe in that they'll give us some support and help all these clubs out. Like.
Corinne Wheatley, BBC Look North, Halifax.
Now let's talk fashion, a subject very close to my heart, so I'm very excited for this one. A fashion designer from Sheffield has made her big debut at London Fashion Week, introducing some diverse new looks that could shape the future of the catwalk. Kasna is with us now. Kasna, London Fashion Week no less. What was that like?
It was crazy. It was a very intense experience, but I'm glad I got to bring my whole Sheffield community with me, and yeah, I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
What an opportunity as well, so at the beginning of your career as well. Just tell us a little bit about your designs.
So I combine Middle Eastern fabrics with streetwear, and Islamic wear, kind of combining my Yemeni heritage with my British upbringing, and the clothes that I would see in my community, so tracksuits and traditional abayas and hijabs with like nylons and Middle Eastern fabrics.
And you do a bit of upcycling as well, don't you? Just tell me about that.
So this one's upcycled.
Yeah.
I buy second-hand jackets from Sheffield, vintage shops, charity shops, and I upcycle them with traditional carpets and Middle Eastern fabrics. And I make a matching bag as well.
Love it.
I hand sew everything myself, and yeah.
And you get some of the inspiration from your family, don't you?
Yeah, so my grandma's living room is all Middle Eastern traditional fabrics, so I would always see them growing up. And I would always see my grandma in very traditional Islamic clothing, and then next to her I would see my cousin in a Nike tracksuit. And I thought it was cool, like the different, how different generations view culture. Yeah.
And what kind of response have you had from the fashion industry so far?
It's been really good. They've been really welcoming, open-minded to my designs, super supportive of the message, so it's been really cool.
And it's really important, isn't it, to bring diversity into fashion?
Yeah, definitely. And especially in London Fashion Week, to show like different sides of British communities as well.
And you have graduated now, and is this right, you've actually made a career of it now?
Yeah,
you're on your way.
I started my own brand.
What's that called?
It's called Kazna Asker, kaznaasker.com, yeah. And I sell things inspired by my community, upcycled garments, handmade garments.
Wonderful, can't wait to see what else you produce. Thank you very much, lovely to meet you.
Thank you, you too.
Now, on a completely different subject, did you learn an instrument at school? Maybe you had the odd lesson with a recorder. I know I did. Well, hundreds of school children in Sheffield have been having a go with trumpets and trombones as part of a project to get more pupils into brass. Abby Jaola has been to see them in action at a special concert today.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Last-minute rehearsals for Year 5 and 6 pupils at Beck Primary. The brass players have been learning for over a year, but some of the P-Buzz players... That's them, the red plastic trombone trainers, have only had a couple of lessons.
When I first started, it was very difficult, but then as I got used to it, I got better and better.
It's very fun, especially I'm doing this concert now, you know. Obviously my mouth hurts a lot.
How do you feel about the concert?
Confident, I think. Yeah, confident.
I think it's going to be fun, but I'm also a bit nervous about the parents coming in.
The best thing about playing is that you get loads of concerts and you get some time out of school to enjoy yourself.
It's part of the Proms in the Playground project to encourage more children to play instruments. Local brass bands have been sharing their skills, and 9 schools in Sheffield have been involved, giving hundreds of children the chance to take part.
They start to realise that they're greater together than they are as separate individuals. So that thing about coming together, doing the stuff together is really important. We don't get it when you're sat there with a maths book or an English book, but music, you definitely get it coming together.
Proud parents packed the hall. Many students here are from disadvantaged backgrounds and couldn't afford music lessons outside of school. This concert is being live streamed on the internet. Organisers want to strike a chord with as many budding musicians as possible.
We want children and young people to have access to music education in their schools, and we also want children and young people to have access to the opportunity to make music together elsewhere, to progress, to be better, to make new friendships.
Hitting all the right notes, being loud and proud to keep the brass tradition playing on. Abby Jaola, BBC Look North, Sheffield.
They sound great, don't they? And finally, you might have seen the 35 bear sculptures which were dotted around Leeds over the summer. Well, last night they were auctioned off to raise money for Leeds Hospital's charity. The star of the show was a polar bear dedicated to 11-year-old Freddie MacDonald, who's been cared for at Leeds Teaching Hospital since he was a baby. The bear went for a whopping £11,100, no less, and his new home will be at Freddie's school in Ossett. The charity say they raised over £100,000 altogether. Isn't he absolutely gorgeous? Now onto the weather prospects. Keely is here. Keely, I put my washing out at lunchtime and within 10 minutes the heavens opened.
Well, you can blame Paul for that. It wasn't me last night.
All his fault, yeah.
A mixed bag this weekend. You might not want to leave your washing out, even though tomorrow morning looks nice, it will go downhill. More on that in a moment, because it has been, for most of us, for most of the day, a pleasant story. We've had some lovely spells of sunshine. Temperatures across parts of North Yorkshire reached 18 degrees. And as you can see along the coast there at Caton Bay, some lovely blue skies. Angie's little doggy having a lovely time in the waves there. But it wasn't sunny everywhere. We did have more cloud over the Pennines and the Dales, which did produce the odd shower. And as Amanda mentioned, the odd one of those creeped further east. We will have more on the forecast in a moment. You can keep your pictures coming into the BBC Weather Watchers page, or I'm on Instagram, keely.donovan. So yes, a mixed bag over the weekend. Some sunshine around tomorrow morning, but I'm afraid as we work our way through the day, more cloud will develop from the west, and later in the afternoon, outbreaks of rain and drizzle will begin to spread eastwards, and some of that rain could be on the heavy side. So low pressure is close to the UK or dominates our weather as we go through the weekend. Hopefully it'll brighten up as the front sinks southwards on Sunday, but it could be quite warm and humid, and then another band of rain affects us through the day on Monday before it freshens up with showers for Tuesday. So we have seen cloud developing through the day today, but there were some good sunny spells away from the hills. And as we head through this evening, any remaining showers will tend to ease away. It does look like a largely dry night with broken cloud, clear spells. If you're wanting to catch a glimpse of the last supermoon of 2023, we'll have good clear spells overnight, though there may well be a little bit of high level cloud making that moon hazy at times. It'll be cooler than last night. The breeze leads down and we'll get some patchy mist and fog developing towards dawn. Let's have a quick look at those high water times then. At 19 minutes past 5 in Filey and at 12 minutes past 5 in Scarborough. So we'll start the day with plenty of sunshine through tomorrow. The cloud will bubble up and then it will increase from the west as we head through the afternoon. So clouding over, damp, drizzly conditions developing before outbreaks of rain eventually spread in from the west. Some of this rain could be on the heavy side, and underneath all that cloud and rain, temperatures will be back at around 16 or 17 degrees. More humid conditions as we head through the day on Sunday. We'll start off with outbreaks of rain and a lot of cloud. I'm hopeful it should brighten at least across parts of North Yorkshire by the afternoon. Amanda.
Oh, wonderful, thank you very much, Keely, and I'm sure my husband has brought that washing in for me.
Absolutely.
It won't be there when I get home tonight, definitely. No. Thank you very much. That's it from us. Do have a lovely weekend, whatever you have planned, and we'll be back with your late news and weather, usual time, 10:25. Goodbye.